The next thing to assemble is the rotor head. That's step 4 in section A. That's bag 3. We'll give you a wrench to tighten up the spindle nuts. You get the rotor hubs and all the blade grip assemblies and spindles. The first thing you do is you clean up the inside of each one of these spindle seats by using about a 0.2 millimeter or 0.2 inch drill bit and just cutting a little chamfer on the inside of each one of these seats. Clean out the shavings. This will make sure the spindle sets all the way in. You don't have to apply very much pressure. You don't have to go very far. You're just knocking off the corner. We install each spindle with red Loctite, so put a small drop on the spindle and slide. Wipe off the excess. Make sure they're fully seated and set them aside to set. So we install these spindles with red Loctite. Put a small drop on each one. Slide them into the rotor head. And make sure they're set all the way in place by twisting them in place with a screwdriver. If they're not all the way set, the blade grips will drag. So make sure you get them fully seated. Wipe off the excess and let them set to cure. The blade grips have two different sizes of bearings in them. You have bearings with a 2mm or a 3mm ID and bearings with a 4mm ID. So if you prefer to Loctite these into the blade grips, you can. I sometimes do, sometimes don't. The bearings with the 4mm ID, you put one on each side of the blade grip, and then you install one of the bearings with the 2mm ID. And you can push them into place, make sure they're fully seated. 4mm on each side, then a 2mm. Then slide the blade grip on the spindle and add the 2.5mm nut with the supplied nut driver. The red Loctite is set up. You'll be able to do this without putting a screwdriver on the back side. It's not set up yet. You'll have to use a screwdriver. If your blade grips drag, you need to take that one back apart and get your spindle fully seated. We give you some extra nuts to use if your fiber feature gets worn out, so keep those around. You also get your blade bolts and your Jesus nuts in this pack, and that's the main rotor head assembly.